Oh, a microphony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The Doctor of Discernment is now online.
You know, much like my show, in that it's a local reaction to things that are happening on a federal level.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Wow, do I have a boatload of stuff for you, from the crazy to the absurd. Let's start getting into it because, I mean, it is bizarro world out there. And I say, if it's obvious to me, should be obvious to everyone. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming?
This is the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage.
Hold on to your butts.
Broadcasting from the basement bunker beneath Kettle Radio. Welcome to the Fourth Hour. It is always great to have you along again. A number of you are already here. Thank you. It's always good to see the Bunker Brigade reporting for duty. Okay, so let's get to it. I want to share some of the latest. This is stuff that I really did not share this morning. The president demanding that Iran give up. Let's see what his latest comments are. I really haven't even, let's, this video is fairly short. It's only a couple of minutes long. Let's hear what the president is saying.
We're not looking for a ceasefire. I didn't say I was looking for a ceasefire. That was Emmanuel, nice guy, but he doesn't get it right too often. But we're looking for better than a ceasefire.
What specifically is better than a ceasefire? What are you looking for here?
An end, a real end, not a ceasefire. An end.
So
A real end.
Or giving up entirely. That's okay too.
Are you close there? Is that possible in the next 24
Why not? Certainly possible. Complete give up. That's possible, yeah.
So it's possible, he says.
Iran should be able to have a nuclear weapon. But how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't.
I guess Tulsi Gabbard knows more than Trump, huh?
Building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having it. Doing pretty well. Right now, we're doing pretty well. Remember, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. You know, we don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon.
What was the thinking on the call for Iran to evacuate? Is there a threat or is there incoming? What was the thinking on the full evacuation?
I want people.
Is there a threat? When you are telling people to evacuate, do you think there's a threat? How stupid is the legacy media? I mean, because he told people at True Social, Tehran, evacuate Tehran now, evacuate. This is what he's telling Iranians, to get out now. Now, why would you do that? No, there's all is well. Obviously, what do they expect him to say? This is just stupid.
To be safe. And that's always possible. A thing like that could happen. I just want people to be safe.
Is there any?
Great people, they know how to protect themselves.
And when you say better, what?
Oh, we'll come down so hard if they do anything to our people. We'll come down so hard. Then the gloves are off so beautifully. Now,
So beautifully.
I think they know not to touch our troops.
Yeah, so don't mess with American troops, he says. So there, he said he wants to see an end, a real end, not a ceasefire, a real end to what's going on. And what is that going to mean? What is that going to look like? I think we'll have to wait and see. And again, Emmanuel Macron said, we're going to get to him in a moment because there's just an incredible, this story right here, the Italian prime minister. I don't want you to see that yet. That's hilarious. The president said, I have not reached out to Iran for peace talks in any way, shape, or form. This is just more highly fabricated fake news, he said. So pretty incredible. The president, I don't want to show you that. Let's go back to the New York Post. New York Post is just such an incredible source of information. If you were to only follow one, legacy media outlet, the one I would recommend would be the New York Post. I find more credible information there, as well as opinion, and there's nonsense too. There's a lot of material. I go, what? But New York Post is absolutely where it's at. So, and this is why, take a look at this. Notebooks found in Vance Belter's car detail his planning prior to the attack. Take a look at that. Finding people, there we go. Truthfinder.com. TruePeopleSearch.com. See, he's writing down all of these meticulous notes. Most property records in America are public. County assessor's webpage. All of these things he was looking at before he, you're seeing it there. So these notebooks, this is the so-called manifesto. I went off on that yesterday. A manifesto, this is planning. That's what you see him doing. He meticulously planned this thing. More than 45 Minnesota officials were named in the notebooks. Additional notebooks were recovered from a residence where he was renting a room in North Minneapolis. This guy is unhinged to the max, man. I mean, wow. Police found a GPS containing a trip history, including the addresses of, the folks that he shot, killed. Search of the area around his home uncovered a disassembled semi-automatic handgun and at least 3 magazines, tactical body armor vest, and a flashlight. A latex mask of a bald old man was found close to his home. And I think I showed that photo of that to you yesterday. That was included. So those are things that we're learning about Vance Belter here this morning. There was another, I mentioned this story. So hold on a second. Let me get this in the Italian prime minister caught giving an epic eye roll after speaking to the president of France. There it is. So he's talking, and there's the eye roll, baby. That is just absolutely too rich. I had to share that with you this morning. Yes, I'll come back to that. Sorry, looking at the screens that I have open and what I actually want to show you. There was one other story. The president, this is from the Hill. As we're talking about what happened in Minnesota. So the president asked this morning, you're going to call Minnesota Governor Tim Walz after these 2 Democrat lawmakers were shot. And the president said, I think the governor of Minnesota is so whacked out, I'm not calling. He said, why would I call him? The guy doesn't have a clue. He's a mess. So, I could be nice and call, but why waste time? Trump says. That's Donald Trump. What? And what do you think? I mean, seriously, I would love to get your thoughts on this in the comment section. Should the president call Tim Walz following this? And the president saying, no, he doesn't have a clue. I mean, this is the guy that as we were talking about on the air today, this is the guy, 5 days ago that's calling ICE, comparing them to the Nazi Gestapo 5 days ago. Why should Trump call him? That's a pretty potent argument against calling Walz. And as the president said, yeah, he could be nice and call, but why waste time? Especially considering what's going on right now with Israel and what's happening there. between Israel and Iran. Why waste time with Tim Walz? No, I think that's spot on. And of course, Trump's just going to get reamed for that. But what else is new? Trump gets reamed for everything, It's just absolutely crazy. Now, speaking of the president, I want to go to his True Social account. Where did I find that? Let me scroll down. There was, and again, he said, I've not reached out to Iran for peace talks in any way, shape, or form. This is just more highly fabricated fake news. If they want to talk, they know how to reach me. They should have taken the deal that was on the table, would have saved a lot of lives. Totally agree. Did I miss? Maybe I have to go up. I think I need to. Forgive me. Let me scroll up a little bit because he shared a piece here. There's Tom Holman this morning on, here we go, Mike Huckabee. Let's take a look at this. I want to show this. I'm going to blow this up just a bit so you can see it a little. Forgive me. I want you to be able to see this. Mike Huckabee, Mr. President, God spared you in Butler, Pennsylvania, to be the most consequential president in a century, maybe ever. The decisions on your shoulders, I would not want to be made by anyone else. You have many voices speaking to you, sir, but there is only one voice that matters, his voice. I am your appointed servant in this land and am available for you, but I do not try to get in your presence often because I trust your instincts. No president in my lifetime has been in a position like yours, not since Truman in 1945. I don't reach out to persuade you, only to encourage you. I believe you will hear from heaven, and that voice is far more important than mine or anyone else's. You sent me to Israel to be your eyes, ears, and voice, and to make sure our flag flies above our embassy. My job is to be the last one to leave. I will not abandon this post. Our flag will not come down. You did not seek this moment. This moment sought you. It is my honor to serve you, Mike Huckabee. So apparently now the president shared that on True Social. Looks like he shared it right off his phone. Pretty incredible. Mike Huckabee is somebody I greatly admire. He's America's now ambassador to Israel, and he has been right there for the Israelis throughout this. I think it's pretty incredible. Okay, one other thing. Riley Gaines as a teammate named Michaela Skinner, and she now is speaking out against Simone Biles. She did an interview with Will Kane, and if you have been following this over the course of last week, you had Simone Biles, who out of nowhere starts going, speaking badly about Riley Gaines. And then after making those comments and leaving them out there for 4 or 5 days, I think 4 or 5 days, she just left them out there. And then she came out with an apology that sounded to me like it was not sincere. Sounded to me like it was a public relations person who crafted this and came out with this response. And so now you have Michaela Skinner in this interview with Will Kane, and she's talking about it. And so Kane said, this seemed to be a fight between Riley and Simone on a much bigger and broader issue, but you put your statement out there, and I'm curious, why did you do that? And she said, well, throughout my career, there have been many times when I've been belittled and bullied by Simone, and I've wanted to keep quiet for the other athletes. And there have been multiple times through my Olympic journey and through camps, training, and everything that we've gone through where she has come and belittled all of us, she says. And I've wanted to stay silent through this because she has a huge platform. And she was talking about Riley Gaines and her advocacy for women in women's sports. Riley Gaines is someone whom we have talked about on my show often. She's shown a lot of leadership on this issue when it comes to getting transgender males out of women and girls' sports. Riley Gaines has been the face of that for many. So she, Skinner publicly supported Gaines. She urged others to champion fairness in women's sports. She also said that Biles offered no support when Skinner reached out at various points in her career to discuss advocating for fairness and the online backlash that she faced when others opposed her efforts to preserve women's sports. And I think, some of the insanity that we see happening in politics, you see the same thing happening in sports. This issue of transgenders invading, because that's what it is. I'm just going to call it what it is. It's an invasion of men into women's sports. I don't like it. I think it's wrong. Just with all my heart, with every fiber of who I am, just tells me that is absolutely wrong. I've got daughters myself, and the idea that, you would have men coming in and depriving them of opportunities just offends me. I mean, on the deepest level, I'm offended by that. And I think a lot of us are. So to me, what Riley Gaines is doing is just absolutely phenomenal, in my opinion. And now to hear others that are similarly, taking that same kind of position, it's uplifting. So Simone Biles is not doing well right now. She would have done herself a lot better if she had just kept her mouth shut, I think. But this is the thing. When you're going to wade into these things, you can't do so. You got to do so thoughtfully. You've got to, rather than, this is what I was talking about near the end of the program this morning during the last word, and the opinion piece by Mark Levin, and you got Tucker Carlson who's out there trashing Levin and, for this, and I think you got a lot of folks like Tucker Carlson. I think he's just out there to generate notoriety. And there are a lot of people who are out there. They just want the notoriety. There are other people, I think, Mark Levin would be an example, that there's more to them than just the notoriety. These are people that you can respect. You know what I mean? These are, I think Mark Levin commands a respect. And those are the, Mike Huckabee, I shared the comments that Ambassador Huckabee, sent to the president. Those kinds of people in my world, in my little world, really deserve respect. They command it. It's like you can't help but respond to that. Versus the Tucker Carlsons and all the Simone Biles and, so I think you really have to kind of stop. And I battle this all the time. Every time I open the microphone, what do I want to say? I want to be measuring my words, constantly. And that gets to be difficult sometimes when you're battling emotion at the time. which is one of the reasons why sometimes if I'm really emotional on an issue, I'd rather wait to talk about it. I want to calm down. I want to, I want to let my emotions subside so that I can think a little bit more clearly. And we've got a country full of people who don't do that. They would just rather live in the moment, and oh man, that stuff just, first of all, it's exhausting, man. It's absolutely exhausting, I think. But I appreciate these leaders, whether it's Riley Gaines, whether it's Mark Levin, whether it's Mike Huckabee, the president, host of others, too numerous to name. That's real leadership. And that it speaks to me. And I got my little tiny minuscule part, in my little universe. And that's who I try to be. We're going to leave it there for today. That's a wrap. And you made it to the end of the video. So my thanks to you. You are my gallery of champions. All of you, you made it through the entire video. A special thanks to the Bunker Brigade, those who are here each and every day. You'll get special kudos and special thanks if you hit that like button before you leave. I really appreciate that. Thank you, my friends. So we'll leave it there for now. I will see you again tomorrow. Until then, I'm underground and go.